So this is my new 2-player deck holster. It goes with my 2-player Duel Blade. It's a wearable deck box that I can wear on my belt that contains my cards, but it's also a dealer system for when I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh with my Duel Blade. So the way it works is say someone else wants to play Yu-Gi-Oh with me, as say we're like on the bus for some reason, because I guess we're gonna be on the bus. Well, they probably don't have this for themselves, or this, because I have the only one of these in the world, and the only one of these in the world at the moment. So I need to be able to handle with just what I have my side and their side. So they would presumably have their deck in their own deck box that they carry around with them, right? But I would pull this off and slip this divider here for their extra deck into the lid, right? Because now the lid is a second box. And then I would give them these two dividers. We've got a banished and a graveyard for the graveyard and the banished zones. Give that, and then I give this to the other player, who then will take their deck out of their deck box, right, and put it in here. Say they also have an extra deck. Most Yu-Gi-Oh players have an extra deck. Where's the back? This is the back, right? And I would be still wearing this one, right? Whoops, hang on. Okay. But then they would start wearing this one, or they could just hold it if they really wanted, but that would be dumb. I open up the Duel Blade, and we just simply draw cards from here. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? And these cards are mostly upside down because I put my deck in upside down. Whoops. But then I would play my cards, right? Say I want to do this spell, right? On my Duel Blade. And I'm also at 8,000 life points at the beginning of the duel. This is 7, 8. Right? And the other player, right, would have their cards, right? And they would be wearing this, or they would just be holding it, but they could wear it not just on their belt, but like maybe on your shirt, right? Maybe that. They would play their cards on their side. Right? And then suppose it's my turn and I play a card that needs me to search my deck, right? So I'm wearing this. I put my hand in here. I could have put it in here, but I decided to put it in here. And then I pull out the deck. I fiddle with the deck. And I do what I need. I pull out my hand and I continue playing, right? Player 2, maybe they need to fiddle with their deck, so they put their hand in here. They pull out their deck. Then they continue playing after they're done fiddling with their deck. Right? Then say this card goes to my graveyard. I need to read these real quick. All right. So during the setup of this, we would be putting these, we would be paying attention to the orientation of the words here. I would put this in the graveyard, which is just simply behind this divider that says graveyard, right? Maybe I want to summon from my extra deck to like the extra monster zone here, right? I can do that. Maybe this went to the graveyard as well, or maybe player 2 banished it, so it goes behind this divider for the banished cards, and the same applies to them, right? They have a graveyard and a banish slot. Maybe their card goes to their graveyard, so it goes behind this divider. Maybe they want to summon from their extra deck. Now that this extra monster zone is available, they'll just put it there. Maybe I banish that, so it goes behind the banish slot, right? And we can just play Yu-Gi-Oh! Using only what I've got on hand for both players. Then when we're done, I close up my Duel Blade, right? Then player 2 will take their deck, make sure they have all their cards, right? And they'll make sure their deck is all nice and orderly. They'll take their cards and put it back in their own deck box, right? Because who carries a Yu-Gi-Oh deck without putting it in a deck box? You would have to have like at least 40 loose cards, which is ridiculous. So they've got their deck box and they can go about their day, assuming I can get these cards back in here. Where's... what happened? Oh, hang on. There. And then I get my deck all orderly, right? I'll just put these here for now. And then player 2 gives me back this, right? Their box. I put the dividers away. I move this divider to here. And then their box becomes the lid to my deck box. And then I go about my day. So this is where the out-of-play cards for a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Would be kept for both players. This is where it would be kept. And all of the out-of-play cards can be handled by this. And when we're not playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, when I'm not playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, it's just a normal old regular deck box that just holds my cards and has a couple of extra dividers, right? Most deck boxes come with one divider, right? This deck box has the one divider. My deck box technically has a built-in divider and 5 more dividers because it's got the 2 for my banish and graveyard, the 2 for their banish and graveyard, and then the 5th one here for their extra deck, right? But that's not a... but yeah. So I've got this belt clip here that allows me to wear it, and then another belt clip on the lid piece here for player 2 to wear it, right? Of course, mine has 2 and theirs has 1 because it's easier to fiddle with one belt clip. So player 2 has less to manage, right? And therefore has an easier experience. I'm taking on the extra burden. It's not burdensome at all, but I'm taking on like the extra inconvenience of having 2 here, and I does need 2 because if I had just one belt clip on each of these, then at least one of these would need to be asymmetric, and then it would hang at a weird angle. So this needs 2. Anyways, but yeah, this can handle all of the out of play cards for any Yu-Gi-Oh game. this inner box here, the bottom part, my deck box, right, can hold up to 60 cards in the main area and 15 cards for the extra deck. And so therefore, because this one's bigger, it can hold just as many cards and more, but doesn't need more than 60 cards for the main deck and 15 for the extra deck, because that's just how many cards you're allowed. I mean, you can have a side deck, but I don't have a side deck. So, yeah. And it's not like I'm going to be doing tournaments with this, right? So, yeah. This is my 2-player deck holster. A deck box for my cards. And a 2-player system to deal cards out of to go with my 2-player Duel Blade. So that is that, and that's how that works. And I think it works pretty well. There are some issues with it. There's always issues with it. There are some ways to improve it, as there always are. At the moment, the only real problem this has is that the top is a little bit loose, and that it's a teeny bit difficult for me to put the lid back on when I'm wearing it. But that's just a user learning curve. It's fine. Bigger issues in the future might arise, but I'll see about that. I don't know, right? I think this is the best dealer I've come up with so far. It's based off of the same idea as an older 2-player quick draw deck holster. What made that one a quick draw was that it had a slot. It had a slot at the bottom that you could draw from the bottom, but like it really wasn't very convenient to use, so I got rid of that. You can just draw from the top. Anyways, this may become a little loose over time, right? But that's fine because I intended this to be loose in the first place. Right? I intended to grab it like this, right? And then put it back on the same way. Okay. It's hard to get depth perception through a camera. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and put my light point counter. Anyways, so yeah, it's a little bit difficult to take this whole thing off of my belt at the moment. It's not that difficult. It just like takes a little bit of like squeezing and fiddling, but it's very secure. One thing I forgot to mention, the dividers here, the one that says graveyard and banished, they also have the words at the bottom, because when player 2, right, when player 2 decides where to put this, right, it may want to hang this way or this way, depending on where it's being worn, right? So if it's hanging this way, the face of the cards should point that way, and then you want the words to face this way, right? So that it's like this, right? But if it's hanging this way, the face of the cards should point this way, so then you want the words to be like this, so that you can read it like that, right? but that's a case for case thing. And so it needs to have these words on the top and the bottom, so that you can either have them like this or like this. Put this on, put this on. Yeah. Another issue at the moment is I keep wanting to grab this like this, and then it just pulls off the top. So I have to grab it at just the bottom here, which is a little weird because I tend to like to grab things in the middle there, you know? But like I can learn how to grab this. And again, when I'm wearing this, it's not like I need to grab it at all anyways. So that's not a problem. So yeah. Things that I could do better if I were to do this again, I might make this a little bit thicker just so that it's got a slightly tighter grip on the hand cards. I might redo the built-in or the static non-moving divider for my extra deck divider. I might shorten that to be about the same height as this, just for consistency's sake, if I were to do this again. I could redesign the belt hooks, but they work just fine as is, so I won't do that. So it functions well, and it serves the purpose that I designed it for. It has all of the features that I wanted it to have. So this project is at a point now that I'm satisfied with, and so this is the thing. This is my 2-player deck holster.